Hello, hello. How are you? Hey, villainous. Hey, wake up. How are y'all doing? Happy Wednesday, everyone. Happy Wednesday. What is going on? Girl, I can't keep up with you. And the thing is, I kept saying to myself, I need to call you, but then it would be like so super late and I wouldn't be exactly how sure what time it was. And also, I would be very, very, very sleepy. And so then I was like, I'm not calling her, at this time of night for her because it probably would be like nine something for you when I would think about calling you. Because I was like, I haven't seen her or anything. I hope she's okay. What's going on? So I'm glad you had a little trip, girl. How was it? Where are the pictures? Yes, welcome back. Hey, Mary. She said, look, you could have. I told everybody I know just be up for no reason. Now I know. um, yeah, what is going on? I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure I've done a live stream since the new year, I believe. Didn't I? Didn't I? See, here's the thing. That was something else too. I had to talk to y'all later because something happened. I was just about like 2 weeks ago when I did. Okay, yeah, because I did my live stream for my makeup when I was doing my makeup, and I did record those videos. I really, really did. Um, and then the next day, all hell broke loose. And something was going on, and so that just threw me for a loop for basically the whole week. So I hadn't done anything else. I hadn't done anything else, but I did upload those things to CapCut. So it's just basically like whenever I get back onto it, the way I made my content plan or whatever, I could just plug back in. But also, different things are going on in the regular um in the world generally. And nobody showed me anything, but somebody had reached out to me and said they wanted to hear my opinions on Ryan Davis. And so I was just like, okay, I could do that. That's not a problem. And also, guys, don't forget, um, we are y'all wouldn't email me anyway before, but we are monetized now. So like to if you want me to talk about certain things, y'all can email me or whatever. If you want to send super chats or super stickers or whatever, that stuff is there too. I also have, now I should be able to show it because before I wasn't fully set up. Okay, here it is. Yeah, I can show this now because before I was trying to show you and I wasn't fully set up yet what the memberships are. So this is my page now, and this is the membership tab. Whoop, whoop, whoop. It says this is what the membership tab looks like to members of Mother. I want to see what's the loyalty badges. I want to see the tiers. Members only polls, members only chat rooms. Da, 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 da. I'm trying to see. Learn more about memberships. No, that's not what I want to know. Well, Mother is the highest tier, but y'all could do it. Go to my page and you can see what I set up there. And also, if any of you happen to be any place, thank you. If any of you happen to be anywhere where there were some memes of me, there were some stickers and stuff of me, could you grab them and send them to me just because I wanted to make it fun for y'all, and I was trying to set up the stickers and the little, the little things that y'all could use in the chat and stuff, because I wanted it to be fun. So, but yeah, that's there. I was looking into it, so right now it's not like I'm not to a point where there are ads on my videos, but I am, I can, there are super chats and stuff like that. So that's what it is. But yes, thank you everybody. And yes, I was saying, like, if y'all want me to talk about something in particular, you can reach out and I'll do that. Hey, True, good, perfect, you're here. You can reach out and let me know. You guys think True? Oh, thank you. Wake up. I appreciate it. True was the one that wanted me to do this on Ryan Davis, and I did post a TikTok. I did a TikTok earlier. She said, "Yeah, yeah, it would." And I did a TikTok, and I said just one thing in particular that I saw that I don't see anybody talking about. That's fine, True. And we're going to get into it, but before we do, I just want to just have a little fun before we get started. Oh, True. I hope you feeling better, or I hope you get better soon. She said, "Yes, I did. Thank you." Yeah, because I saw it and it kept getting on my nerves. And I think I have the lady. I saw a lady did a TikTok about something, and that was really where I was just like, this is getting on my nerves a little bit. And then you came and said what you said. So I was like, all right, I'll go ahead and talk about it. But yeah, so we're going to do a little pre-show thing right now, just for a little fun. I hope this don't cut off because it's got like background music, but she's not singing. So I'ma just do this just to get it started, because I think it's so funny. People been sharing memes and stuff. I don't know if y'all have seen Jill Scott is back with new music, and they're calling it, wait, or do they have it in the comments? Let me see the comments. Child, yeah, she's being very wild. She's being very wild, very, very fleshly. So with some Jill, like our Bible study tonight. Hold on, I'm gonna just let y'all hear what she's talking about. She is freaking.
There was a video came out.
I wrote this song because people are not screwing right, and that just hurts a sister's heart. I really want them to get all the loving that they deserve. As kind of a tutorial for anybody who's lacking in the loving department. Touch all over, squeeze somebody's meat. Everything's got feeling, you understand? Every little piece of a person, everything, toes, earlobes, belly buttons, back of thighs, back of knees. It's a party going on with your lover. It's a shame that you're not spending the appropriate amount of time and energy on truly loving somebody. And I want you to. I think you deserve it. I know you don't know me very well, but I want you to be happy all the way. I want you to bust nuts. Lots of. Sincerely, Jill.
That lady is out of her mind. But yes, wake up. Yeah, she has been fleshly. Like Crown Royal was always something different. Okay. So she said, now Jimmy. Your endorsement of Chris Brown as the King of Pop tell me you might not be screwed right, but she's probably getting fucked. let's just call it what it is, honey. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Villainous. Oh, thank you. But yeah, like she has always been. Said Mike really fumbled the bag dropping shit. Like he should have busted. He was out here playing. Listen, let me tell you something. That's one thing, and she has me thinking that it is really a Philly thing. Maybe this level of enthusiasm, I'll call it, around sensuality, sexuality, and all of those. It's just violating on the right. Yeah, because it's like it's so funny to me. Lately, I've been well over the years and stuff. For those of y'all that are like in community with me, I've been talking about like trying to get back in touch with my sensuality because being running such a strict program is so strict that certain departments are shut all the way down, and so it's like, but still being able to like tap in with that energy for myself and be like, oh yeah, I still in my mind enjoy the idea of sex and like when I used to do it and what I found fun in it and everything like that. And so I'm saying that to say like the way she talks about it, it's like, yeah, that's the way I prefer to do things. I just don't have nobody I want to do it like that with because these niggas is just sick, tired of them. You know what I mean? But yes, that's exactly. She said, "What is it? The cheese steaks? Yeah, it's the meat." She said, "Grab some meat." So it's a lot of meats. You know, it's a lot of meats. I'm a meaty woman. You know, very soft, very, very, very comfortable. Cozy, if you will. But I thought it was funny because as soon as she came back, people was calling her. They said this big titty music and big areola music, and I'm crazy. Look at this. Will this come up? I can't click on it. See this over here in the comments? They said this how Jilly's music makes me feel. Busting nuts for Jill. Ooh, she cooking. So Jill, I got Bible study today. This is so funny. Can I just say I love black people. Yeah, she is fine AF. And who just texted me? She said, oh God, here she go. Hold on, somebody texted me. So yes, Jill is cracking me up. Oh look, they sniffing the music. Oh, somebody liked my video. We might come watch my video later. Um, so yeah, I just wanted y'all can I'll send that to y'all in the Discord if you want to look at it yourself and look at the what's the faces. What y'all saying? She said, I remember a church sister saying, is it the way a little too close to sunset? She had to check if the street lights were on. Like, sis, if you find an amateur night and go. She said trash. They are trash. Yeah. All right, so now we want to go to the next thingy. I thought this was first of all, I was on Petty Stream the other night and people was trying to front on my sense of humor because I was just trying to bring some levity because he was talking about some very heavy things and they was acting like they didn't like the stuff that I was interested in. But I brought this over here. I like this. I like the energy of this. I love me a girly who doesn't she said who doesn't give a F, you know. So let me see here.
I'm going to explain why so many people are talking about 365 buttons for 2026, but with the caveat that if you watch this video, you must leave the original button person alone. The buttons were clearly for her and not for the internet, as will become apparent as you watch this video. So what happened? This creator, Abby, posted a video about her 2026 rebrand. And in the comments section of this video, a user called Tamara, or perhaps Tamara, I'm sorry, I don't know, she said, I'm getting 365 buttons, one for each day because I want to do more stuff and I'm scared of time, so I want to be more conscious of it. And people are like, what is 365 buttons? And she's like, one for every day. And people love it, but they are confused and they want her to explain further. So they're like, yes, queen, but what do you mean buttons? Like to wear? Just to have to see how quick days pass and to remind myself that time passes and just have fun and to do a lot of stuff. What are you doing with the buttons every day is what they're asking. Are you putting them in a jar? Are you wearing them? Hey, so it actually only has to make sense to me for me to do it and I don't feel like explaining it to anybody else. Okay. I gotta admit, I love Tamara. Look, she didn't make a video about this. She just left a comment on somebody else's video and all these people are like, explain these 365 buttons to me. And she's like, I don't feel like doing that, so no. Oh my god, I love her. People are just asking what you plan on doing, like literally and physically with the buttons, and are probably just trying to get ideas to help themselves. I don't know and I don't have to know, okay? I just want to carry around a button every day. Let her carry around her daily button. All of these comments have since been deleted, but it didn't stop the internet from going absolutely feral for 365 buttons. This woman wrote a song about 365 buttons. People are tracking their own progress. Even the Philadelphia Eagles got involved and showed their 365 buttons. Because of these comments alone, Tamara ended up with around 50,000 followers, and a bunch of people are commenting on her only 2 videos to tell her they love the buttons. I'm a big fan of your work. She's like, girl, what work? Please do a button series. No. Neither of the videos on her page have anything to do with buttons. She is not mentioning buttons at all whatsoever. This video is about things she does to fill up her cup. People are like, do buttons fill up her cup? No. People out there every day begging for this type of attention, and this queen is just like, no, I just never care. I don't get ahead off of social media clout. And I actually fully agree with this comment down here that says, Tamara said no, and she's giving a lesson in boundaries. I love it. Have a fantastic 2026. Yes. Just because you randomly say in a comment section that you're going to make a button series doesn't actually mean that you have to do that. No is truly a complete sentence, even if previously you said yes. And the thing is, she's not discouraging anybody else from doing this. She's just like, I'm not going to explain to you exactly how I do it. So please don't go seek out Tamara. I am sure that if she ever wants to do content, she will do that. But for right now, that's clearly not her goal. Please don't bring this up on her socials. That's everything I know about this. Love you guys. Drink water. Bye.
I thought that was so freaking funny. These are the vibes to bring into 2026 for real, for real. Like, I do what I want. I don't have to explain to you. Now, I will say, one of the ways she could have prevented that, even though she doesn't seem like she's letting it overwhelm her, and I love her for that. But one of the ways she could have prevented that was just like not sharing. But however, it is one of those things, and you know, I guess that's going to be the ongoing theme of tonight too, about like what do you share on social media. And I'm not going to say what do you owe people, but yes, this is going to be a question about what do you owe people. You know what I mean? Like, now, does people have to encompass everybody? Absolutely not. Like, we are not here to please the whole entire world. But I just thought that was really cute. I love her for that because, period, like, ain't nobody gonna stress me out. You know, you see how I be doing things. I'm like, I know I could do this and people would engage with it, but I'm not doing it because I don't feel like it. I don't feel like everything that comes with it. I don't feel like doing the work to do it. I don't feel like none of that. So, you know, I love that. I just thought that was really cute. Hey, Jazzy, she said, hey, still at work, finishing up. I'll be here listening. Wonderful to have you. Thank you so much. So yeah, that's what's going on. Let me see. Do I have anything else? Nope. I think those were the only 2 little pre-show thingies that I had. It was just so funny. So I'm going to go ahead and play the intro, and then we will get started in here. But oh yes, and like I said, y'all can send me things. You can send them to my email, kiana@levelupsinglemom.com. And you can y'all send things on the community tab here? I don't know. But anyway, why am I acting like y'all don't know how to get to me? Y'all know how to get to me. Send me things if you want me to talk about things. I'm going to go ahead and play this intro, and then we will get started.
You in charge of the girls, right? I am in charge of the girls. Are you in charge of the girls? I am in charge of the girls.
Got a little too overzealous there. Okay, so we are here today to discuss Shannon Jigaboo Sharpe and he's got another show. I liken him to Nigga Crane, aka Cam Newton, with their shows that they keep assaulting us with. But like recently he had Ryan, I was about to call that man Ryan Clark, Ryan Davis, aka Ryan Davis comedy on there. Now I'm gonna be real with y'all. I did not do a whole bunch of extra research on this. I am familiar enough. I know exactly who Ryan Davis is, but I don't, I never followed his career all like that. My understanding of or my experience of Ryan Davis was that he was on. I want to try to say he was on Vine, but I think he was. I knew him from Instagram mostly, and he would get on Instagram and he would do commentary, much like a lot of people do commentary now. It was um, it was funny. Most of the times it was funny. But what's interesting to me too is if I'm remembering it right, he would do the kind of commentary where he would be dragging people and mostly men. I won't say mostly men, but a lot of times like he would be dragging men who did or said something that was kind of misogynistic. I wouldn't necessarily say that that was his shtick per se. He would drag different people for different things, but I do remember a point in time where it seemed like he was, what the guys call white knighting, where he was kind of like dragging men for saying and doing misogynistic things or things that were just very unkind to women in very particular ways and stuff like that. And he would be, I guess you could kind of say, a more watered down version of what we like Dominique Morgan for when she does her reads and stuff like that. Because like I said, it would be funny. Yes, I very much so felt like it pivoted towards Black women at one. That's what I'm saying. Like, as somebody who's been watching social media and paying attention to, like, not just engaging with it, but actually paying attention to what goes on and stuff, I feel like it was there was a clear turning point in his content where it seemed like he was doing mostly that. He probably was kind of like pivoting once, because it was around the time, Derek Jackson was big and stuff like that. So it was one of those things where he probably picked up on it and pivoted that way to evolve with the times, right? So that's what I remember about him. So that's why this wasn't even on my radar in terms of like something like this. And I'm not saying that I thought like, oh yes, he's just such an amazing man and this and that and the other. It was more so like he was just neutral to me. You know what I mean? Like I knew he did comedy and things like that. I know he had a special. I remember seeing him do like some press and stuff, and his name starting to come up more again a couple months ago because he had funded, self-produced his own comedy special on Netflix, I believe. So I was just like, okay, whatever. So when I saw this clip that we're going to watch of him, I just was like, oh, here we go again. All right, sidebar. Am I the only one that is just like so tired of being bombarded with these kind of revelations about the lives of these people? You know what I mean? That you just, I don't know nothing about this person other than they do their little dance or whatever online, and then next thing you know, it's something like this to where it's just tiring to keep having to feel like, damn, you too, like ain't nobody just chilling, ain't nobody just normal, you know what I mean? But that just goes to show just how normal and pervasive this stuff is. And that's why I be trying to tell people like it is that big of a deal, because it's everywhere. It's in everything. You know what I mean? And even people that you look at like, oh, they're neutral, they're safe, they're whatever, they're dabbling in this bullshit too. So it's just like, okay, what do you do with that, right? But yeah, so when I started seeing this, I was just annoyed. So I'm gonna go ahead and share this and we will watch the clip, just the clip. Y'all ain't gonna get me watching nothing I don't feel like watching ever again. I did not go and watch Lady London and Cam Newton, even though I know she was probably doing way better than Natalie Nunn in terms of like what I like to see, but I will not. I refuse to watch any of these shows again.
My daughter went from I love my dad to let me see we get out of here. And when she started looking at me as access to like So then I ran into this thing where my daughter went from I love my dad to let me see what I can get out of here. And when she started looking at me as access to like material things,
You were an ATM. Now all of a sudden you weren't dad, you were an ATM.
broke me. Because it was like, I only want to be around him if I can get something out of him.
So let me ask you this. Did you sit down and have a conversation? How did you come to this realization that it was, yes, this is my child, but my child only wants to be around me because of what the access that she has to things, perfume, jewelry, clothes, makeup, whatever the case may be.
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because it's like, my daughter saved my life. I'm not a very motivated person. And when we went and got that ultrasound and they said it's a girl, I knew I couldn't be a mediocre man anymore because it would affect how she viewed men in general.
Follow for more and pass it on.
So then I ran into this thing.
Sorry, I was writing something down. So, that is the clip. Now, mind you, now on this one, I'm looking here like that one, that wasn't it. But I originally had gotten the clip, or the first clip I saw, it was from Shannon Sharpe's actual page, and I'm gonna show y'all a picture later. I mean, I don't have to show you the picture, but I have a screenshot of the original one and I circled it. You know what? We'll see it in my TikTok that I did about it later on. So I'm gonna go ahead and share his response. This is Ryan Davis's response to the backlash surrounding. Hold on, Ryan Davis. Ain't nobody asked you just yet. Just relax. I'm gonna share his response to the backlash that he's been experiencing.
Have people always been this stupid? I didn't know. I've cultivated an audience of people who can critically think. So maybe I've been in a bubble. I didn't know people were this stupid. Why ain't y'all warn me? I'm in the comment section of these Shannon Sharpe clips, and I'm like, I know they're captioned a certain way, but you can hear me in the video. Let me give you an example of what I mean. There's a video going around about Drewski. In the video, I say, I defend comedy over anything. I'm more of a comedian than I am a person. When people say offensive stuff, I'll be like, was it funny? I actually like the way he put that together. And then people got from that I'm hating on Drewski. And that I think we should worry about how offended people are when it comes to comedy. I didn't say that. I literally don't say it in the video. And in the video, Shannon Sharpe has a smooth face. Do y'all know he has a beard now? He has a full beard. So the interview was like 2 months ago. How could I be talking about Drewski's pastor sketch 2 months ago when it came out a few days ago? People's inability to critically think is like crazy. I'm like, nah, have people always been this stupid? And I just shielded myself from it, or is this the thing? Also, the video about my daughter. People are like, I'm calling my daughter a gold digger. I'm blaming her and all kinds of stuff. In the video, I literally say she used to be a daddy's girl. And the reason it became transactional is because, and I could see that she still wants to be a daddy's girl, but there is a fear to get close to me because that closeness was taken away before. I say that in the video, which means I'm not blaming her. I'm talking about the lack of safety that I've made her feel that I'm trying to get back. How did that turn into being about the child? I'm saying to fathers that don't put yourself in a position where you have to win your children back. That's the conversation. I know it's captioned a certain way, but you can hear me say these things. People's inability to critically think, is this the norm? Have people been this stupid the whole time? And because I sectioned myself off to a certain part of social media, because you have to be able to critically think to even enjoy my comedy. Did I make an audience for myself that where I could not see how stupid people are nowadays? I don't mean to call y'all stupid. It's just like the inability to critically think to me means you're kind of dumb. I don't know. I don't know. Y'all let me know. Have people always been this stupid? I didn't know.
Okay. So I'm going to keep it just right there at this particular point. Yeah, sorry. I'd already saw it. I saw it once and I was like, yeah, I'm going to talk about that. I wrote a couple things down. So first off, I'm a start right here with how Shannon was parroting what he was saying back to him, right? So when he starts talking about his experience, and Shannon's like, "Oh yeah, you became an ATM." Shannon is, because this is what we're talking about with what he just said there in terms of what he's upset about in how people are taking what he said. Yes? Okay. So he's upset that people seem to be running with a narrative. He's calling it their lack of critical thinking, which I don't disagree that the internet in general has a tendency to just take things and run with it. So we're going to put a pin in that. He's saying that people just ran with a narrative and they weren't listening to the thing. First of all, we sat and we listened to the whole little snippet there. That snippet, like I said, that snippet that we were watching, I didn't check it. I thought it was the one from Club Shay Shay. It is the clip from Club Shay Shay, but it's just that somebody else reposted it, is what I'm trying to say. And so what I'm saying is that the show that he went on and did business with and agreed to lend his face and his thoughts and his views and everything to, clipped that particular clip that only contains what we saw and people are reacting to and perceiving. That's not the internet's fault. That's your colleagues' fault. You get what I'm saying? So that's number one. Number two, talking about this ability to critically think. Now, what Shannon, again, this is Shannon, when he was saying his thing and he's like, "Oh, I'm sad that my daughter just seems to want to be around me transactionally." Shannon throws in there, "Oh yeah, perfume, jewelry, clothes, makeup." What does that sound like? That doesn't sound like the description of things a child would want. That sounds like descriptions of things that tricks know that women want. You follow what I'm saying? You sitting up there with a certified card carrying trick that just very publicly was taken to the cleaners by his preference and sugar babies and whatnot. And he wound up having to be a lot sweeter than he had planned on originally. Yes. So you didn't really take the time to like gauge where and with whom you were having this particular conversation with, I'll just say. And then that same entity, whether it was him or his team, took that part of what you, knowing his situation, because he knows what his life is, he knows how he's seen, took that part, clipped it without the added nuance of you saying how you felt. Because I did see another clip of him talking about how things fell apart between him and his baby mom. And I did see where he's saying like he was being reflective and this and that and the other in terms of, "Oh, I did this, I did that, this is what I was wanting, blah, 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 blah." But again, that was about his baby mom. My point is that the people who put this out there for people to have these perceptions of you and the conversation didn't also make sure to add the added context of you being thoughtful and reflective in that way when it came to your daughter. Then you have, like I said, him doing those very distasteful ad libs, adding to a narrative that is already running before you even opened your mouth. It was already running in that particular space before you even opened your mouth. But now everybody else got to have a lack of critical thinking skills. Let me come and look at the comments. He said, but did he foster that relationship with her? Right. One thing a nigga gonna do is gaslight. Very, very true. They watch their mother struggle and expect their own child to. She said he should have said that then. She's like, yes, because he's so hybrid. And let me say, I was about to get to that too. He said, I thought because I fostered, and I laugh because I be saying the same thing like about my people. I think every content creator wants to believe that they're bringing something so high quality and so highbrow, and that just the people that get it, the girls that get it, are just so above everyone else, right? Like that's part of the thing of being online. However, sir, like I said, I will not sit here and try to presume that I know everything about his brand and who he is as an actual comic, because like I said, all I remember is he used to kind of do sillier stuff, and then somehow he sort of switched to commentary on like women-centric topics and dragging the manosphere and stuff like that. So I will admit that I don't necessarily know his particular brand of comedy in terms of standing there for an hour or so talking. But what I did used to see of him making jokes and things like that, I mean, he would get a little chuckle, he would get a little every now and then, but it wasn't, my sides weren't split, but I mean, and again, everything ain't for everybody. And there is a certain vein of comedy and stuff like that and entertainment that I just don't get into, that a lot of our people get into, and I'm not going to take it no farther than that. So all I'm saying is, I think he putting a lot more on a lot more on the poignancy of his works than that. And so she's a child, she doesn't know no better. Instead of love, you gave money in place of love and went to family therapy together. Could have went to family therapy together. Yeah. Retired a preference. Yeah, like Shannon is a clown. You shouldn't, like, you went and sat with that particular man of all people, wanted to have this serious conversation of anything to do with Black women. That was your first fucking mistake. Right there. Right there. That was your first mistake. He also says when he found out he was having a daughter, he knew he could not be a mediocre man. Now, and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really I heard him say that before, but just in this second of hearing him say that stands out to me too. Because what do you mean by that? You couldn't be a mediocre man. So it sounds like you thought that you needed to get your money up. And that's fine. But I'm saying you're the leader, right? And you set the tone. So if your tone is, oh, I need to get money, and you're thinking that that's what makes you not a mediocre man. And I'm not saying that like I did, like I said, I did not watch the full thing. So maybe he addressed, but it sounds like based off of what he was saying about his baby mom and the deterioration of their relationship in the clip that I saw, that is what he thought a good man was, or a better man was someone who had a lot of money. So that's what I'm saying. Like, to me, it just sounds like the daughter followed the tone of the adults around her. And so it's like, and he just didn't bank on mediocrity or excellence being something else coming from his daughter's perspective. And that was his learning curve to kind of to close up. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, I'll have more thoughts in a second, but let me get to this lady who she said she had an unpopular opinion about the situation, and I wanted to get perspective first before we move on further.
Interview with Shannon, Sharpe, and Ryan Davis.
Wait a damn minute.
So initially, I didn't watch the full interview with Shannon, Sharpe, and Ryan Davis. I just saw what he talked about being estranged from his mother for 4 years. But I'm thinking to myself, like, this is a really emotionally mature man. You can tell that he's done a lot of inner work. He was reflective. He wasn't defensive or dismissive. So when I saw all the videos where everybody was talking about how he was calling his daughter a gold digger, I'm saying this can't be the same interview. So I went back and I watched the full interview. But I still wouldn't say that he was calling his daughter a gold digger. What I heard was a man who was struggling to put language to grief. When he talked about how his daughter went from I just want to be around my dad to now I just want to see what I can get from him, what he's talking about is a shift in a relationship. That shift happens when time, presence, and emotional access becomes inconsistent. Children don't become gold diggers, they adapt. So when the emotional connection starts to be inconsistent, they'll attach themselves to what's reliable. And sometimes that's the earrings, the jewelry, all the money, gifts, and access to things that you have because that's been more reliable when you weren't there. That's the form of access that feels predictable. That's how conditioning and attachment work. I didn't hear a man who was angry with his daughter or blaming her. He was grieving the loss of the relationship that they had, and this is why he was saying that he needed more time with them. I think that the internet struggles with experiencing two truths at one time. A child can experience emotional absence, and the father can also grieve the relationship that he once had with his daughter. A parent can be trying their best and still miss something that's essential. A child can also adapt in ways that hurt the parent even when they did nothing wrong. One truth doesn't cancel out the other. He's naming something that I think a lot of fathers feel but don't have the language to articulate it. Their value has been reduced to only what they can provide financially and not who they are and what they've provided to their children emotionally. For men whose identity has been tied to being useful, needed, and being a provider, that can be devastating. Unprocessed grief in men doesn't always look like sadness. Sometimes it's withdrawal, it's shutting down. It looks like not knowing how to stay connected without being used. If grief doesn't get named, it doesn't heal, it hardens. So in this situation, I don't hear a man calling his daughter a gold digger. I hear a father that's naming a relational shift without having perfect language for it. We can protect children while still allowing parents to name their pain. We can acknowledge the impact while still allowing this man to grieve the relationship that he no longer has with his daughter. When we jump straight to outrage, we shut down conversations that actually need to happen about time, presence, and custody systems. We should be able to talk about work demands and how children emotionally make sense of separation. Healing starts with understanding what's actually being expressed, and sometimes what people are calling entitlement is actually unresolved grief. So initially, I didn't watch the
Okay. So listening to her initially, I was just, yeah, this is where I was at, right? Like, girl, please. And also I just want you to know that I just happened to notice too when I was on that on my phone. That is one video in a playlist that's about basically men's feel. I forget what the playlist was called, but it's basically like men's feelings and she the nigga whisperer. I'm just letting you know. However, what she was saying about this idea of like parents should be able to talk about the nuances of complicated feelings around being a parent and grief and this and that and the other, blah 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 blah. I was like, okay, yes, because that's what we do over here. And it's so funny because I was scrolling earlier and let me see, I wound up watching, where is it? There it is, right there. I'm about to share just the screen of it. You see this one right here? When and where can mothers be honest about whatever this is, but it looks like that. Are single mothers silent or silenced? So you remember a couple months ago that guy that's in the picture right there. In fact, I might go ahead and just share what we were talking about, but I'll do that later. I'm gonna pull it up just to have it up, but we ain't gonna watch it right this second. Because we're gonna watch a part of it later on. But that was a conversation about, we gonna get to this. That was the conversation about that guy with the curly hair had an opinion because he said he saw a video, a TikTok of a woman saying that she regretted motherhood and she wished she hadn't had her son and blah blah blah. She had a son. And hold on, I'm gonna try to star some of these things because y'all are making some very good commentary. and he was critiquing the woman for saying those things because he's like, what if your son sees it and how's he supposed to process this? And so basically it was like the same situation but reversed. And so I sat and watched it, and we'll watch a little bit of it later, right? Just the part that I wound up like instinctively skipping to, because the difference I'm noticing in those situations are pretty, some of them are kind of big differences, and some of them is just a matter of just a slight shift in circumstance. So what sorry, one thing being that this lady is saying that, number one, parents should be able to have the space to try to process these complex emotions, mix of emotions within the experience of being a parent in order to have clarity in their purpose and intent in being an effective, healthy parent that a child deserves. I agree with that. However, when it comes down to what Ryan Davis was doing and what that lady was doing, again, we never even saw, because I had somebody else's TikTok that was responding to that guy on the thing too. And he was saying, like, I don't even know which one you talking about, because there's a couple women that, when you go scroll, woman is regretful of motherhood or whatever. There's a bunch of different ones, and the man never specified which one specifically he was talking about. But the idea of a woman sitting on camera crying her eyes out about regretting, a woman we don't know, a woman who is not a public figure, a woman who is not promoting a tour or a book or a platform or a brand. You get what I'm saying? Just venting because they're at their wits' end and they don't know what else to do is something different than somebody casually discussing this very personal, very nuanced, very touchy thing that involves his child, his Black daughter specifically, on a podcast with a person, like I said, that has proven himself to be hostile and negative towards Black women, up to and including his own Black daughters. That's different than, someone just like, oh my God, I'm really struggling with this and I don't know where else to turn, and I just got to let this out because it's weighing on me and I feel like I'm going to explode. You know what I mean? So that's two different things. Again, let me go. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and show my TikTok. Did I put my TikTok on this? I don't think I did put my TikTok on this. I'm gonna show my TikTok where I gave, my thoughts. Some of y'all may have seen it earlier, but some of y'all may not have seen it earlier. Hold on. No, no, no. Shut up, girl, because I don't want to hear you no more. You said enough. Here we go. Am I sharing it?
So I want to start off by being trans.
Y'all are.
I'm seeing a bunch of takes, and I have some things to say about this. So I want to start off by being transparent and saying that no, I did not watch the full interview, and no, I will not be watching the full interview. What I did watch was this particular clip where he's saying what he said about his daughter, and then I watched his response to everybody else's reaction to what he said. I also saw a lady that had given a perspective. She said it was a popular opinion, and it is, that, he was expressing grief around the experience of the relationship with his daughter kind of changing with her getting older and everything. And I don't necessarily disagree with it. But one of the things that I noticed also that people keep saying, this is what Ryan Davis said in his responses, is also something the lady said. Everybody that is like defending the critiques of him are saying, and that is that, oh, you guys are just reacting off of a clip, you're not willing to do the work of sitting and listening to everything he said in the whole interview and this and that and the other. So you see what I have circled right there? That says the Club Shay Shay podcast. The very clip that everybody keeps saying people are just focusing on and just taking and running with the narrative came from that man, came from the man that he's sitting with and talking to about this thing. So what that means is that, why the hell is this so close? What that means is that it was Shannon's team, maybe not him personally, but it was people at that show that Ryan made a deal to go and sit with and talk with about these very nuanced, emotional things. It was them that decided to put that particular clip out there, and we all know that they knew what they were doing by doing that. And so if we're going to be frustrated with the general public for just doing what the general public does, because Ryan's not new to social media. Shannon's not new to social media. None of us really are new to social media. So we all know how these things go. I, for one, am getting tired of the gaslighty argument of oh, well, I thought y'all were smarter than this and this and that and the other, blah, 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 blah. Everybody knows that the internet is not smarter than that, in a general sense. That's what these algorithms are. That's how these elections have been being won. They have figured out that our impulses override our logic. They override, in terms of the collective. The trend is that our impulses override our logic and reasoning and things like that. And so the way that things are promoted, the way that things are pushed is by doing it through triggering things. So all I'm saying is that if we want to sit here and critique the general public for doing what these companies have made billions and millions and billions and millions of dollars knowing that they do, we also should hold accountable the people who have positioned themselves time and time again to benefit from these trends in social media on how they are moving. So what I'm saying is, if Ryan wants to be frustrated with the reaction, he also needs to be frustrated with the person that positioned him by putting that clip of his daughter. And also he needs to be frustrated with himself, because at the end of the day, once you knew it was, you should have had more of a wherewithal to be concerned about how discussing this in this setting with that particular person also. Because let's get into that. Shannon Sharpe is already on everybody's radar for being a hypocrite and a fool and a jigaboo because of that whole situation with him, penny pinching his daughters and then winding up providing, generational wealth to that woman of no color. So it's about, if we talk about critical thinking, you didn't think that having that conversation with that particular person might not have been, ill-advised at best. And then when you saw, like I said, they clipped that particular thing of all the things you said, because they could have took the part where you were talking about having done wrong. And I know there were other parts that may have been put out there. I did see some things where, he was elaborating on his feelings and the fact that he didn't do right by his baby mom and stuff like that. But I'm saying, the fact that they took that part that was about your daughter and put it out there, I haven't seen him address Shannon or the show, you know what I mean? And saying, why would you take that and make that a highlight? And again, that doesn't mean that people that watched it, even if they didn't clip it, that people that watched it wouldn't have picked that out and did something with it. You get what I'm saying? But the initial spotlight on that particular aspect of this interview that you're saying people are harping on and for the wrong reasons and out of context was curated by Shannon Sharpe's team, if not him himself. So all I'm saying is, it's to me, this is still a bunch of smoke and mirrors in terms of having a conversation. I see people talk about we're not allowing them to have real conversation, men have real conversations about grief and relationships and learning and growth and this and that too. But this is part of the lesson as well. If y'all want to be seen as protectors, if you want to be seen as Superman, it is up to you in these types of situations, because you are in this industry to be mindful of these things. And all you had to do is say, you know what? I hadn't thought about that. But now that you say so, I could see, because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. But what matters right now is that little girl is walking around being like, damn, whatever y'all was going through has been compounded many times over by this now as well. And now it's public and beyond y'all. So she's having to deal with the fallout of all of this as well. So all I'm saying is, instead of trying to clap back and talk down on everybody else, recognize that what part you played in this particular thing, even if you already feel like your work was done in terms of the other stuff in the past, in this particular thing, there were still things to learn. That's it.
Yeah. So that is where I was at with it. And like I said, it really annoys me. It because he ain't the only one that does it. A lot of people do it, where they try to play this game like they don't know how the internet works, and they try to play this game that like they don't know how. Like, okay, if you first starting out doing something online, you do kind of just throw spaghetti at the wall and try to see like what works, what works, what works. And for most people, if they do certain kinds of content that can lean towards a negative or just dragging people or, debating, all those types of things, it gets to a point where you recognize, like, say, for instance, Pop the Balloon, right? Now, I believe Arlette and husband when they say that they initially wanted to create a situation where people would get together and pair up and make families or whatever. But at a certain point, they had to recognize the trends in what people were taking away from what they were putting out. The gap between their intention and the way that their stuff was being received. And they continued on. You know what I mean? Like they had an option to say, okay, is this what we want to continue to do? Since this is, even though this isn't what we intended, is this what we want to continue to put out there? Because this is how people are taking it. And they continue to proceed. Now, I'm not saying when it comes to them, I mean, it is what it is. It's a dating show, right? However, they can no longer sit and try to act at this point in time like they don't know the themes and things that have been associated with the work that they're putting out, is what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying? Even if their intention is still the same, they now have to have an understanding that they're still what's that called? Willingly putting out something that is showing up in a particular type of way in the world, that's having a particular type of impact. And what a lot of people do is they'll try to lean on, the perceived positive things about it. So for instance, like when we were talking about Joe Budden and everything, he's like, oh, well, I'm the first black media company that could do this. Like there's always good and bad in everything. And so people tend to try to look more towards what they feel like are the positives and minimize or just ignore the negatives. Right? Okay, what I'm saying is, I'm not going to let you sit here and play in my face and ignore the negatives. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm going to take you at face value, I'm not going to play along with you and try to act like the negative impact that you're bringing is not what it is. And I'm getting tired of people trying to act like they don't know. Shannon Sharpe is a weirdo. Shannon Sharpe is a degenerate. Shannon Sharpe is a sad, sorry example of why women like me and other women, that talk the way we talk about black men, why we feel the way we feel and why we move the way we move. Because that's not somebody who, he's not even neutral. You know what I mean? I keep saying this word neutral because there is such a difference between neutrality and malignancy. You know what I mean? And malice. And Shannon Sharpe is someone who is maliciously negative towards black women. And so if you, Superman, want to go and sit across from that man and have the nerve to discuss fatherhood of a black daughter, no less, You need to recognize the impact of that. And like I said, you don't necessarily have to recognize the impact of that on the masses, because people, that's another thing about social media, is people have reduced the people that are basically funding their lifestyle to trends and engagement and stuff like that. They don't care about people's mindset. They don't care about people's emotional and mental well-being. They don't care. They just want the engagement. And that's why, like I said, he could take his black ass up there and talk about people ain't smart and this and that and the other and blah, 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 when y'all had the keys to handle this. And this is how y'all handled it. I'm tired of people expecting other people to hold up the line where they drop the ball in terms of being intentional and responsible with the attention that they get from people. At the end of the day, that's your baby. That's not our baby. That's not Shannon's baby. All Shannon needs to, the only thing Shannon needed to worry about in that thing was making enough money, like I said, to kind of refill his coffers after having given all his shit to that white girl. He don't care about you or your baby. That was your job to protect her. That was your job to cover her. And in this idea of mediocrity or excellence or whatever in terms of being a man or whatever, how do you think you did? And like I said, at the end of the other thing, like it's not about, it wasn't necessarily about perfect execution. And I've said this before, I'm not somebody that looks for people to do perfect execution, because I don't execute perfectly all the time. And to that lady's point, when you're trying to figure out things that aren't really clear for you and that are very complex and there's a lot riding on it and this and that and the other, especially as a parent, you're going to make mistakes. I've said all the time about the mistakes I made. So my problem is not that he made a mistake. My problem is you're still being arrogant enough to not be able to say, you know what, in the face of the idea that I might have further hurt my baby, I'm actually really upset by that and I didn't mean to. Because that's literally all he had to say. Well, for me, I know some people wouldn't have been happy with it, but I personally wouldn't have been looking at him as bad if he would have been able to say, you know what, I hadn't thought about how this would look to my daughter. But now that I see, how it could affect her negatively, I feel bad about that. She said they need to go to a therapist chair. I swear they'll do everything but take their asses to therapy. Right. Because like you want to be, it's nuance and this and that and the other. Then why the fuck are you talking to that jigaboo about it? And I know I keep saying the word jigaboo. I like saying that word. I'm sorry. It's a bad word. I'm sorry. I do think he sees it allowing other people to talk themselves off a cliff. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And the thing is, like I said, when it came to Cam Newton and him, it's one of those things where I'm now trying to figure out, because it's making them look so stupid to a certain degree, that I'm trying to figure out if it's not people around them, if not them themselves leaning into it because it makes good content. You get what I'm saying? Or it makes compelling content. You know what I mean? Leaning into this caricature of duncery. It's a true mistake. It's so annoying. They won't talk to a therapist, but will stay on the internet telling everyone else it's because they don't want to be better. And in truth, as they complain and say we don't want them to be vulnerable, but when they do get vulnerable, they show a lack of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence will not allow you to make a 10-year-old daughter the subject of public ridicule. Yeah, it's for me. I will specify even further and say it's more so an idea of a lack of empathy. Because in all of this, you're saying you're doing this work and you're being introspective, and that's cool. But the thing that's lacking here for me is that empathy, because it's the empathy that would have allowed him to say, hey, you know what? I wasn't thinking about how she would feel about me discussing this and discussing her in that way. I wasn't thinking about how she would feel about Shannon Sharpe reducing what she wanted from me down to clothes and jewelry and this and that and the other. You know what I mean? Like it hadn't occurred to me. I didn't have the capacity, or I didn't have the range at that time. That's not something I ever had. That's not a way I ever had to extend myself emotionally, mentally, or spiritually. But now that you say that, because I'm in the space of wanting to be the best I can be for my child, I am now, trying to incorporate that into my repertoire. And I apologize to her. Like I said, if no one else, because this isn't about me, I don't matter. Yes, main character syndrome. And that's the thing. And that is the thing at the root of all the complaints that I hear men say and all the struggles and stuff, is that they struggle with this idea that women and girls, and especially Black women and girls, get to be the main characters of their own lives. That we're all main characters of our own lives interacting with each other. So that means that you are, yes, you get to be the main character of your own life, but sometimes you're going to have to step into the supporting character role of someone else. Specifically your children, your wife or girlfriend, these people that you want to see you a certain way. It's going to require of you to center them, because you wanting to be seen as Superman is not centering them. It's not. Now, sometimes it's, especially with the younger kids, it's very easy, because as long as you just there and you got their food and you give them a hug here and there and tickle them a little bit, they will give you so much. Like, you get so much for so little with babies and toddlers, right? And it is a kind of a mind F. Like, my daughter is 11 now, and I find myself being so self-conscious around her. And I was just thinking about it today. I feel like I'm more self-conscious around her because I'm noticing that she's more self-conscious as a person. She has more of a sense of self. And with her having more of a sense of self outside of me, that means that, I may not meet all her expectations, or she may not see me as cool based off of the things that she has going on in her life that is separate from me. She has friends outside of me. She has, social things going on outside of me. She has her experience as a person of her generation in ways that aren't compatible with me as a person of my generation. And so there's more room for misinterpretation, or there's more room for just a different preferences. You know what I mean? But I'm noticing that, and I'm keeping that on me. I'm not putting the weight of that on her. Like, yes, I am sad sometimes, when I'm doing little silly things and I find myself like, why won't I stop? Why can't I stop? Because I'm looking to her for this kind of approval that I never felt I needed from her before, or else I just was automatically getting, and now I'm sensing the absence of. So it's not that I can't like relate to what he's saying. But at the same time, like I said, the empathy is missing, where you could say, oh, well, actually, it makes sense for her to be going through that because this is her life. And it's okay for her to want things, and it's okay for her to not prioritize making me feel a particular type of way when I'm around her. And it's up to me to try to navigate it. Now, if I feel disrespected, or if I feel like she's being, unreasonable or out of control or something like that, yes, then I have to step in as a parent to show her, to correct her or whatever. But in a general sense, my kids do not exist to validate me. You don't care about anybody's feelings but their own. Yeah, I think his lack of acknowledgement of the potential pain is concerning. Yes, also he has the acuity to understand his desires for his mom to show up in a certain way, but can't see that for kids. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm talking about, that empathy of saying, well, if I can relate to myself as someone's child, and now this is my child, what if I try to like superimpose that stuff over and just see what lines up? You know how they used to have those projectors in school where they had the little clear plasticky looking pages, and you could put one over the other and have different. Why don't I superimpose my experience as a child of a parent who did A, B, C, D, E, and put that over, compare that to what my child is going through and see what comes up the same. They don't do that. And that's why I feel like masculinity is such a fucking waste of time, because it's all due to this idea of masculinity, of manhood, of this and that, and they never fucking see that. It's always masculinity making them feel like people are supposed to center them. Everybody's supposed to center them. The men, the women, the children, the animals, the plants. Everybody is supposed to center them and their masculinity. He said he mentioned his 8-year-old son thinking he's Superman. He knows he's not that. He wants both his kids to buy. Yes, that's why I said that. She said they must not be around kids because that's how most kids are, regardless of gender, act around this. Yeah. Like, I got friends complaining about their kids just treating them like ATMs and chauffeurs and concierges. Some kids are nicer about it than others, and some kids are, whatever. Like I said, my things with my baby, I praise God. She's not mean to me, but it's just there's a shift in her energy that I know is just her coming into a different awareness as a human being, as a person. And I'm recognizing that I'm feeling a disturbance in my field around it, not because she's doing anything wrong, but just because like it does change our relationship, and it's going to continue to change. She's in flux. She's going from being a baby to a full autonomous person. Eventually she's going to reach quote unquote adulthood, and our relationship is going to have to evolve all along the way as she has new concepts of herself. He said, I feel he's going to eventually start another family with new kids and treat his daughter like she's the black sheep for side-eyeing him. I do feel like men will like to do that, where they'll go and get another family, and like Kevin Hart, for instance, you know what I mean? They'll get that family that suits that idea, that ideal that they're going towards. You know what I mean? Like Kevin Hart did it, Steve Harvey did it. A lot of men who get money and stuff, once they get to that point where they feel like they're that guy that has the things that men are supposed to have, the peak of masculinity, they need a family to match that energy for everyone else's perception. So yes, there are way too many emotionally immature parents. Some parents choose to have kids so the people who won't have them can pick up the pieces. Yeah. I had a couple pin things I wanted to go back and get into. Honest Gen Z, thank you, by the way. Welcome if you're still here. It's a general rule. Don't lead with something and then complain when people expect that thing from you. That's very and that's something I've experienced, because like I said, what the clip I saw of him talking about the deterioration of his relationship with his children's mother, he was explaining basically that he was trying to use money as a stand-in for actually being there, and it blew up in his face. So that means that you understand the concept that this was a precedent that you set up. So why are you whining and crying about other people's reaction to this system that you set up? A la patriarchy, because it's patriarchy. You thought that because you were a man, you could just go out and earn as much money as possible, and she was going to raise the kids and everything was going to be fine, and you didn't have to put in any kind of emotional work. And like I said, I understand that he's saying that they had a fully fleshed out conversation about this. Again, I did not watch it, so I can't sit and say it was or it wasn't. I'm just saying that, again, that combined with where you were at and how they chose to market the conversation y'all have is why this is going on, and it is still further indicative of you still doing the same thing, basically. Because instead of, and if he could have, and he doesn't owe us that naturally. And honestly, if somehow, some way in the background he had already prepared because the baby mom came and said that wasn't the case, and that the girl is experiencing, adverse effects from this, so never mind. But I was saying, let's say he had a conversation with his daughter and his baby mom and stuff beforehand and said, look, this is what's happening, be prepared, but these are my actual feelings. You know what I mean? Like making sure that they were good with each other before this came out to the rest of the world. I don't mind that. And like I said, for me, it's about get it how you live. Like, this is your hustle. I get it. But this was an oversight. Even now, this was an oversight. And it's an oversight that's indicative of the overarching problem. You didn't consider her as a person. You didn't consider how she would feel about you talking about this. You didn't consider how people would respond and how she would feel about the other things that you should have known. I'm not going to say you couldn't have known. You have every reason to know that when stuff like this gets to the internet, and especially when you go somewhere that, like I said, already has a bullseye on him and a microscope on him around how he deals and talks about Black women, you had every means of knowing how to navigate this better for your baby, and you didn't. You threw it to the wolves. Said he has a responsibility to not speak on it if he doesn't have the correct language yet. She's 10 years old. Yeah, not publicly. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, take it to a therapist couch. Take it to, or take it to somebody to talk to somebody about it on camera who has the range to be able to handle it in the delicate way that it requires, with the nuance it requires. The only nuance Shannon was given was, yeah, there's a black man, everybody just want our money, these black bitches want to, like that was his nuance. It says, I have two sons. Oh, we did that one. If he would have framed it as a joke, maybe the backlash wouldn't have been as bad. But him acting hurt about being a poop father, no, he needs to get over it. Instead, he went on a man show that is a known colorist and wouldn't give his black daughters $30,000 for her wedding or more, but gave the white woman younger than his daughter $50 million. Yeah. She said, I'm surprised Shannon is still doing interviews. He feel himself. I can never look at. Yeah. Can I just tell you, like, a few, and that's the thing I'm saying, like, I'm getting tired of. Whenever I see a man, I'm to a point now, whenever I see a man online or something, I don't even allow myself, if he's doing something I like, I'll just be like, all right, that's all right. But I'm still I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, basically. Because there was a point in time, I found Shannon Sharpe to be an attractive man. And he still sounded, very country or whatever. But I thought he was funny, on the show with Skip. That's the white guy's name, right? Skip or whatever. I just thought, I was like, oh yeah, look at him. He seems like a fun guy and he's funny and, whatever. He whatever. But then as time goes on, this stuff come like, what are you supposed to do? It says Steve Harvey been married 77 times. Yeah, and when he told his story, and mind you, he was an asshole. He was an asshole to them people, but he tell his story like a hero's journey. You left about 2-3 families, sir. You cheated on a woman. You took the time. That woman was caring for you and carrying you while you went and did your dreams, and then you went and got oh hey AJ. Then you went and got found your dream woman, like I said, that fit that image of yourself, that aspirational image of yourself that you wanted other people to perceive you as. How are we supposed to take y'all seriously? How are we not supposed to look at y'all as enemies? Let me see. Did I have anything else I wanted to show? Oh no, that was about something else. That's not about this. Yeah, so I didn't appreciate it rubbed me the wrong way. Like I said, I feel like it's very easy to sit and be like, oh yes, the internet and the people online and nobody's smart and this and that and the other and blah 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 blah. Yeah. But here's the thing: if you really feel that way, then switch up how you do things. Stop casting such a wide net. Stop going to places where these unintelligent bottom feeders would be at. How about that? Right? It said they say he beat the hell out of his son allegedly. I'm not sure exactly who you're talking about. Yeah, if you don't like the way the internet handles your stuff, then you handle it better. Everybody always want to go for the most views and the most impressions and this and that and the other. It's not worth it. She said, I took what Shannon said is him complaining about his teen and young adult daughters asking for things. These men don't realize they are ushering their children into adulthood. Yeah. Yeah. And for him to sit and say, oh, I wanted to be set a good example for her of, how she needed to be treated and what a man is and blah, 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 blah. But you're sitting here making it seem like her just being her, wanting things, needing things or whatever is an attack on you. Right? And all these women, like I said, the way he could have spun this, and even now he'll probably could spin it, and some people will be like, all right, fair enough. If he were to come back and say, you know what, I took a little bit of time to actually go through and listen to the different opinions that people were giving, especially the black women, and I see where you're coming from, and trying to empathize with my daughter, I can see where y'all are coming from, and I'm going to have this talk with her. He could still do that. But instead, everybody got to be stupid. You sat over there with the most countryest bunking of ever, but everybody else got to be stupid. Okay. It said they should feel proud to be buying their older children their first perfumes and their first car. How about that? He said they want to help him pay that white woman. That's what I'm saying. That's why he's there. I know that's why he's there. He'll let them sit there and pay him out as a fool and a clown. If he even knows that that's what it is. Because they probably just hyping him up. I can see people hype him and Cam probably just hyping him up like, oh yeah, you know, we gonna get him. Knowing they look a mess. Knowing everybody think they're delayed. It says they don't like their daughters because they're unambiguously black. They're not beating the allegations. I'll tell you that much. They surely are not beating the allegations. Because, like I said, absolutely no empathy for this child, as a child, like he was. You know? Like everybody's wanting to use vulnerability as a draw. If you're not really about this life, leave it alone. Leave it alone. It's always going to backfire. It says they don't realize they're setting the bar for quality of life and financial responsibility their adult children will grow into. They should be using this as opportunities to mold them. But that's the thing. They do use these opportunities to mold women and girls. But the women and girls are supposed to mold themselves into being agreeable for men. They're not supposed to mold themselves into being, like I said, autonomous individuals with standards for themselves and their own program. They're supposed to be molding themselves into something that is agreeable to a type of man that they can watch that type of man enjoying their child, their girl child, and feel validated themselves as men. You understand? Because they don't want another type of dude coming in that's better than them and showing them up. They'll take a man that, you know, they could come in and save their baby from, maybe. Because sometimes they just like, oh, well, that's on her, because they wouldn't want nobody coming in and messing up their program if they was fucking up some girl's life. So they will empathize. We see that a lot too. Men will empathize with the men that are abusing their family, their women family members. Or they want someone who is just like them. Just as self-centered, just as whatever. And then they want to pat themselves on the back and have that other man pat them on the back. That's why they say, oh, fatherless behavior. And you can tell when a woman didn't have a father in their life and this and that and the other. They're saying that they want fathers, and they want to be fathers that groom the girls into being the perfect vessels for whatever some man wants from them. That they're not going to complain, that they're not going to talk back, that they're not going to quote unquote emasculate a man, that they're not going to be difficult. They're going to acquiesce. And they're going to take on full accountability for everything that they do at the behest of that man. And that they will allow themselves to be discarded if and when the man decides they want to discard them for whatever reason and in whatever way. Women that believe more in the institution of marriage than in actively applying themselves to building and seeking the type of marriages that they actually want to be in, that are worth being in. It's really sad. And like I said, I feel bad for her too, because wanting to have a relationship, and this is something I can say, I was never someone who can remember actively pining for a father figure or my father, because I had my grandfather in my life, and my actual father was always like popping up and making himself known. Like, it was a complicated situation. I've explained my birth and everything story here many times, but both of my parents were children when I was born. And so that made things very, very complicated. And long story short, my father did not have the access to me that he wanted. However, He was always periodically find a way to get in contact with me. Like he never stopped until I was like receptive. He continued to keep putting himself in my way so that I could see, saying the same thing over and over and over until I was like, hey, you know what? This means something. This man actually cares about my existence. You know what I mean? Like that's significant. I value that. I really enjoy that. And so now we have a okay relationship. But we never even had a bad relationship. You know what I mean? Like we went from not having any kind of a relationship to being cool. So I never had that ache of, oh, like my daddy doesn't love me. But for girls, who do, I could see how that could be really disheartening to have your dad. You love your daddy. You want to be around your dad. And he's saying he can acknowledge that she does love him and want to have a different kind of relationship with him. But not only did he drop the ball on that, but now you throwing me to these motherfuckers. Like my grandpa would say, that's a deep school. That's really crazy. That's really sad. That's really sad. Well, that's all I got to say on that stuff. Prayers to the women and girls involved. It is sick, Nia. Hey, how you been, girl? Prayers to the women and girls involved. I'm gonna drop this link one more time. Because if nobody else have anything else to say, I'm gonna go ahead and play this outro and get out of here, baby. Because it's not late. It's only 7:47. But I'm done talking about this. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Oh, also, I came to a conclusion just since we're here. In fact, I'll go into the after show and then we can I'll just do some just regular just stuff I'm talking about. Where is it? Here we go. Okay, so couple of changes. Like I said, I was thrown off track about a week ago, a little over a week ago now. I was thrown off track, but in the time that I was like trying to get myself back together, I realized that a part of the reason I was procrastinating about doing my app work on the thing is because I don't feel like y'all are really interested in that per se. Like the process of it. I know y'all interested in me doing things and accomplishing things and this and that like that. But in terms of like when I did the live, I didn't really enjoy the live. Now, shout out to Production Inquiry because I enjoyed, her coming up and talking to me and stuff like that. But I think like when I started that thing, it was one of those things, how you just do something just to be doing something and you're just like just a little pet project or whatever. And that's how I started it. And then I put all this on it to where like, oh, well, I got to make content out of it. But I think I actually enjoy the process more of just kind of like working on it by myself. However, I'm not opposed to recording it like when I'm working. So I'm saying that to say when it comes to my app stuff, I'm probably going to just go ahead and maybe do some recordings. You know what I mean? Like when I work on it, I'll record it by myself while I'm working alone and then still put it in Patreon. So I probably won't be doing those things as live streams when I do it. However, it'll still be available on my Patreon. If you want to follow along on that journey, that's fine. Also, again, reminding everybody that there are hold on, let me go back because I'm gonna share it. There are memberships on my page. Oh, I don't have to share it. I want to thank Wake Up Makeup Slay for becoming a member. She's at the mother level. So mother level is like the highest level, period. She got money. Villainous Chrome became a member at the sister level. Thank you, sister. And I am going to, as this grows, there will be different kind of perks for it. Like right now, I kind of, because it's so new, I kind of am going to let the progression of everything lead me to like to what to provide in terms of perks and stuff like that. I do have a Discord, but I don't really be in it like that, like because I'm in other Discords and things like that. But like I said, as I grow, I probably will start relying on that Discord more. So I will be letting that be a part of anybody that's already in there. You grandfathered in. I ain't gonna kick nobody out, right? If you already in there. But like moving forward, like that'll be something that'll be offered as part of the membership to be in the Discord, and we'll do things. There'll be more private members only type things that'll be happening. But like I'm really excited and I'm very grateful, and I just want to thank all of you for being here with me and throughout this process of me trying to learn and grow and do my little thing over here. So I really, really appreciate that. And that being said, I am going to go ahead and get off of here and just get ready to take it down. I might see some of y'all in Discord, depending on what y'all do, if y'all doing anything. Oh yeah, wake up. You owe us pictures. You owe us pictures and tell us where the heck you went, because you surely went somewhere and came back and we didn't even know you had left us. So we noticed you were gone, but we didn't know that's why. All right, so I will talk to you guys another time. What is it? I do feel like there was something I was going to be doing, but I can't remember what it is. Well, y'all know when I know. All right, I'll talk to y'all later.